Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Today we're going to be learning about how to write a hypothesis for a science experiment. Excellent. So what is a hypothesis? It is an answer to a testable question, a testable scientific question. So it's important to have that question before we make the hypothesis. And this answer can be based on previous research, knowledge, or observations. And it's basically just like an educated guess or prediction about what's going to happen in your experiment. So what is a testable question? That's what we need first before we make a hypothesis. So a testable question is something that we can actually answer in a lab or in a classroom. So something like, what is the effect of caffeine on plant growth? We could do an experiment where we have different plants and add in, drinks with caffeine, coffee, tea, something like that, and measure the growth. How does age affect memory? We could do an experiment where we get people of different ages to take a memory test and compare their scores. Even something like, what will happen if I drop a bowling ball on my foot? That's something we can measure in a classroom or a lab setting. Something that's non-testable, something that we can't actually scientifically measure is my mom cool? That's an opinion. I mean, I'm sure she is, but we can't scientifically prove that. Why are McDonald's French fries better than Whataburger French fries? That's an opinion. We can't do an experiment to prove that. Another example, what is dark matter made of? That's something that maybe we could do an experiment, but we don't actually have the resources for. So we have to keep the scope to something that we could do in a classroom or a lab setting. So once we have our testable scientific question, like what is the effect of caffeine on plant growth, then we make our hypothesis. All right, so how do we actually write the hypothesis? Well, it's very simple, and it just has 3 components. So the first is if, and then you put in the first variable. If I do this, or if I change this, then the second variable, that will happen in green there. And then you want a because. Why is this going to happen? And the most important thing to know here is that your hypothesis does not have to be correct at all. It's a prediction. You don't know what's actually going to happen in your experiment, but it's really important to think ahead and hypothesize what will happen. So let's look at an example here. So going back to our testable questions, what is the effect of caffeine on plant growth? So if, then here's the first variable, I increase the amount of caffeine given to a plant, then, second variable in green here, the growth of the plant will decrease because plants need water to grow. Something like that. And again, it doesn't have to be right, but that is the formula there. And a second example, how does age affect memory? The hypothesis could be if first variable, age increases. And the thing about the variables, they also want to have a direction, right? So increasing, decreasing, staying the same. Then second variable, memory will decrease because brain functioning slows. So now it's your turn, yeah. So first, you're gonna write a hypothesis for these 3 examples, and it doesn't have to be right. It's just gonna be what you think increasing or decreasing. And then you're gonna do that individually, and then in small groups you're gonna compare your answers and why you discussed or why you chose that answer. But you don't actually have to do it. Okay. And so now that you've finished that exercise, we're just gonna do a little hypothesis chant so that you guys will always remember the simple steps to writing a hypothesis. So let's do it together. Okay, ready? Hypotheses are easy, no need to feel queasy. Just ask a question, a testable suggestion. Next is a buzz. If, then, because. If, then, because. Yay! You've learned about hypotheses now.